Welcome back. Today we're out here with the blacktop driveway, the small area of pavement or asphalt that we have up here near the house. We're going to be doing some repairs. This is long overdue. I want to show you the process we're using to get this driveway fixed up a little bit, sealed up and patched so that it is a little bit smoother and it looks nicer. So this is the blacktop area of our driveway. We have a lot of dirt going down towards the road as well, but this is a pretty good size area. Two-car garages up here, and this is wide enough for about 2 cars. I don't know exactly the measurements, but it's a good size amount of blacktop. So I'm going to break this down into 3 steps. Number 1 is going to be clean and prep. The driveway needs to be clean in order for this stuff to seal, to actually bond with the asphalt that's here. Step 2 is going to be patching and filling. So we need to fill cracks, we need to fill potholes and get this ready as smooth of a surface as possible. And then we're going to put the final sealer over the top of the whole thing and seal the whole thing up. So I'll start with the clean and prep and show you how I did that, what I did, and then I'll tell you about the sealers and fillers that I used. This driveway is not sloped well. It was very hard to clean, and there's some spots here that are just not going to be perfect, but that's okay. I started with a leaf blower. I use a backpack leaf blower, any kind of leaf blower, a broom, sweep, whatever you want to get all the loose dust, debris, leaves, sticks, rocks, gravel, pebbles, all that stuff out of here. Then I came back with this power washer with the regular gun on it, and I came back and I tried to clean these harder, dirtier spots. This is a stain, it's not going to come out. I also used that power washer and I got into all of these cracks. So I blew out any dirt and dust, so I actually got those about 1/2 inch to 1 inch deep anywhere I could. And I also picked up this off of Amazon, and this worked pretty good for all the more flat surfaces. It just gives you a smoother, easier clean. And basically this just hooks up right to your power washer gun, and it has a spinning power washer head. There's a couple nozzles in there. This thing just spins around, and then you just move it back and forth like a vacuum cleaner. Once everything was clean, I was ready to seal, and that's the stage that I'm in the middle of right now. One thing you need to remember is that you need to have about 3 clear days. Something I struggled with here in Michigan. You're going to need to clean everything. You're going to need to start sealing and filling all the cracks. You need to wait for all that to dry very well, 24, 36, maybe even 48 hours. Then you want to do your sealer. Some of the larger pothole fillers actually take several weeks to fully cure, so you want to plan ahead and make sure that you've got time for that. This was what I started with for the smallest cracks. This is a Home Depot stuff. This comes with, it has a little nozzle on it. I lost it or threw it away. It has a little nozzle you can cut off to different sizes. I picked up a cheap set. There's a 3-pack of these plastic knives, spackling knives, or whatever you want to call them, putty knives. And you just squeeze that stuff into these cracks, and then I just came back and rubbed it over. That worked pretty well. And for smaller cracks, I would say anything that's like a 1/4 inch or smaller, I think that's fine. You could get a couple gallons of that stuff. It's not super expensive, and use that. But I had a lot of cracks, as you can see here, that started to get a lot bigger than that. So I've got a lot of these size cracks here. This needs to be filled with something different. Same brand, just this is another type of patch called trowel patch. They have bigger buckets of this. Actually, I accidentally got the smaller ones. I've already gone through a whole bucket of this stuff. But basically this is for a little bit larger holes and also for larger areas. Not shallow still, but larger areas. So for instance, this stuff only kind of filled in the crack here. I'm going to come back with the trowel patch now, and I'll put that in here, and I'm going to smooth this whole area over a little bit flatter and seal this up nice and even. This is actually probably a little too deep for that stuff, but I'm going to use it here anyway and just let it dry a little longer. But this will fill up and smooth in and patch all these larger areas. Use a little wider knife with this stuff, and so we'll get it in here. I'll show you how this works, and then you're just going to kind of smooth it over and spread it out and press it down. It'll seal up to the edge of this, and that's not going to let any water get down into these cracks. And for the bigger holes, this is for what I would consider a pothole. Same brand, different bucket of stuff. This is an asphalt patch. They call it super patch. It's a pothole patch. This is for your larger potholes, large cracks. So I've already put that in place here, and a few of these large. This was a really deep bag. A couple big chunks of asphalt had come out. I patched it with that, just shoveled it in there and tamped it down. Now this stuff does take several weeks to cure before you're supposed to seal it. I also use that over here, and honestly, this is so destroyed. I really need to just redo all this, but stuff stinks. So this stuff is brown, but it dries pure black. So a lot of the stuff you see that I've already put on is this stuff dried. So it dries. So even if you aren't doing a final seal coat on the whole driveway, you could still just go ahead and put this out there on your driveway to seal up cracks anytime. In my case, it's the nicest looking black parts of the driveway. Scoop it on, smooth it over. That's it. That's patched. Depending on how much time and money you want to spend, I mean, you can really go through and smooth these whole areas out. Anything that's thinner than a 1/4 inch, this stuff, you can smooth it out. You can get a larger knife and really feather this out and make these spots really nice. But obviously it can get kind of expensive if you really want to refinish your entire driveway with it. And remember, this isn't our final coat. Once this is dried, we're still going to put it's almost a rubberized sealer on the top of this, which will help fill in some of these littler gaps and things as well and smooth this out. So it doesn't have to be perfect. All right, it has been about 36 hours, and so you can see all of what was brown before is now turned black, and all that sealant is dry. Now on these deeper cracks, they do recommend you do several layers because you can see it shrinks a little bit. And so we've got some cracks in what we put in there. And because we are going to be sealing the entire surface here with a sealer, it's going to fill in those little cracks, so I'm not worried about that. Having done this now with this driveway, the best advice I could give anyone who's managing an asphalt driveway is do this regularly. We've lived here 5 years. The previous owner hadn't done this, I'm sure, ever. And so that's why the driveway got to this point. If this was done every couple years, we would never have this problem. Today we're going to get the sealer put on, and I'll show you what we're using, and then we will start to get it applied. Before we do anything, of course, every day that I've come out here and worked on this, I have just used the leaf blower to just clean the surface off, because as you can see, we've got a lot of leaves and sticks and debris, and it was windy the other day. All that stuff fell on here. So we want to make sure I just keep cleaning this off each day before I do any of this work. So same brand. This is the little more expensive option that they have at Home Depot. So this is supposed to be a 10-year. This is faster drying, and it is good to a lower temperature. We are in the fall here in Michigan, and so we don't have super warm days. So it says recommended above 55 degrees, and it also will cure in cooler temperatures down to 40 degrees. This is a liquid. It's going to be squeegeed, so I bought a squeegee there as well. This will be just kind of spread across. We're going to dump it on and then just kind of spread it across, let it soak in. It's going to make it look real nice. So let's get cleaned up. I'll get this stirred, dumped, and squeegeed. Man, doesn't that look good? All sealed up, fresh black. It's looking really good, and this stuff goes on really easy. But I still have all this to do. And I had to go back to the store. I definitely underestimated the amount of sealer that this driveway would take. I've went through 4 buckets, and I went and just bought 5 more. But I think that because this has so many cracks and has not been sealed in so long, it is just soaking up this sealer. What I have found works best is to cut in the edges. So I squeegee over kind of a pile of the sealant, and then I just run it along the edge. I'll come back and get this, but I want to cover all the edge. So I don't mind if it pours over a little bit into the dirt here. I missed some spots up there, but I'd like to do this a little better to try to get it to really overflow into that edge to protect the edge of that asphalt. I'm actually gonna run the leaf blower again because I've had some leaves fall in here since I started. So we'll get this cleaned off again and we'll start dumping this stuff out, get this finished up. Well, it's looking really good, but can you believe it? Moral of the story, always buy extra. Lots extra. I should have bought more than double what I thought. So this will be 10 5-gallon pails that I have used so far. Let's get this finished and we'll be done for today. Well, about 4 or 5 days and 10 buckets of sealant later, this is the final result. I'll show you a few challenges and areas of improvement so that you can take that into account when you do yours. So these areas here that were very, very damaged, you can see that the stuff, the sealant, when it's in that thick of a crack, when it dries, it did crack. And so ideally, you'd seal a second coat over all of these types of areas that would fill in these little cracks, and it would make this much better. I also noticed that in some of the areas where I was starting to run out and I was like, I can stretch this to the end, I started to get a few spots. See if I can find one here. See these little spots here where you can kind of see the dirty asphalt underneath it. I just didn't put it on thick enough, and so my recommendation, again, a second coat would be great. You could probably get a few buckets and just go over these spots. Make sure you put it on really thick. Make sure you keep that puddle really, really big as you're squeegeeing it back and forth, and it'll fill in that stuff. That was just because I was trying to stretch it. And same thing here. This was a big pothole that I filled with that patch. And this, it soaked in quite a bit here, and I got a lot of cracking. So a second coat over this area would probably be ideal as well. And then lastly, there were a few spots up here where I had a really hard time cleaning it because this is kind of a dip here. So as I was power washing, a lot of the dirt would kind of collect in these spots right here and right here. And you can see from these spots, if you don't clean it well, this is what's going to happen. It doesn't stick. So there are areas here where there were dirt underneath it, and that's going to peel up. And this happened here in this spot too, where there's some dirt right here, and it's not going to stick to that, obviously. Overall, I'm super happy with how this turned out. This made a huge difference. This was a driveway that was crumbling apart that we had considered, just tearing out and redoing. But I think we have saved it and given it quite a few more years of life. What I will do in this case is I'm going to let this go through a year. I'm going to let it go through a winter, a season of me plowing and scraping and snow blowing and driving over this with the tractor and the cars and everything else. And I'm going to see where it's at next year in the spring or summer. And then I will clean it again, and I will do a second coat and help to get all those little trouble areas. And I think if I do that this should be a 5 to 10 year deal. I shouldn't have to do this again for a while. At least that's what it says on the box. We had to drive on it for the first time today, and it was sad to put tire marks on it. It looked so nice, but it is a driveway. This was one of those projects I had a little bit of anxiety about because I'm not super familiar with all these products and application and things, and so it was good to go through this. Hopefully you guys learned a few things from my experience. I will put a full link to everything that I used, all the products, the patches, the sealants, the tools, everything in the description of the YouTube video. If you check those links out, it will take you directly to the Home Depot site of the exact product that I used. And you can actually, if you plan ahead of time, you can order all of it at once and you can have it shipped. I believe it's free because it's over $50 or $100. They'll actually ship it to you. So you can plan ahead and have it all show up at your doorstep the weekend that you're ready to do the project and be ready to go without making 50 trips to the store like I did. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think. Tips and tricks from the pros out there, little things that you have learned over your longer experience than mine. Put those in the comments, and all of us can learn from you as well. We'd love to hear from you there. Subscribe if it's your first time here. Love to have you tag along. Thumbs up on today's video. We'll see you next time.